when you're in your breakout rooms with the guest speakers, Gail will put a little notification into the chat box. You've got 5 minutes or you've got 2 minutes left, so that you know to wrap up that session, and then Gail will then move the guest speaker into the next group of students. Is that all right? And then that will last, I would say, the breakout rooms will last about 10 minutes, okay? And then Gail will bring everybody back into the main room so that we can have a final discussion, conclusion, and the way forward for students, okay? So to start with then, we have the 3 guest speakers, and I think a virtual round of applause for everybody that's attending. We have Heather Linden from Plotbox, we have Rico Santiago from Ordnance Survey NI, and last but by no means least, we have Karen Healy from Craig Country Park. We really do appreciate the guest speakers today giving up their valuable time out of their day's work. So students, I really do hope you engage with the students, and as I say, to ask plenty of questions. Remember, they were in your shoes one day as well, okay? And we can all learn. Every day is a learning day, and we can certainly all learn from each other. So I think we'll start then with our first guest speaker. He will speak for approximately in and around about 8 minutes, and we'll sort of let Heather know when that time is finished, and then we'll move on to our following speaker, Rico. Thank you very much. Heather, if you would like to take it away.
My name is Heather Linden, and I am a Geographical Information Systems Technician. I work for a company called Plotbox. I don't know if many of you have heard of them. Not too many have, but probably with a few times I've been around in the university, you've hopefully got to know us a little bit. I started Ulster University in 2014, and I studied environmental science with a DPP. And then in second year, I done the Introduction to GIS and Remote Sensing module, and then in third year, I done the Advanced GIS module. So that kind of is my academic background in terms of GIS. But as many of you are probably becoming more and more aware, it's not all about just the academic background that you have in the subject, especially when applying for graduate jobs. And so for a lot of companies, it's what kind of experience and skills and the kind of networking that you have that sort of makes you stand out above everybody else. And so kind of along that, from about first year, I started really focusing on getting as many Age Awards activities as I can. I was always told, you know, that it will be competitive. I didn't realize how competitive, but basically I completed about 10 activities that kind of ranged from like volunteering to your like personal development activities, and then through to tutoring in schools and GIS tutoring, which comes in handy with the job I'm currently doing. But yeah, in terms of a job in GIS, GIS is a constantly evolving field. It's very innovative based. And so at kind of Plotbox we focus a lot on, and there's a big promotion in terms of personal development and using different software and keeping up to date. And so even next week there's a virtual conference in San Diego that I've been invited to basically go and to watch as well. So you're constantly keeping an eye on your own personal development as well as what you can kind of do for the company. But yeah, in terms of early winter 2018, I started looking for graduate work. So I started looking relatively early, and it was through the School of Environmental Sciences email that I got informed about a job opportunity with Plotbox. I didn't know who they were, and I didn't know what they did, but I applied for the role anyway. And basically it was comprised of about 45-minute formal interview and then about 15 minutes practical based test where they were testing you on your ability to follow written instructions. So I had to do a Photoshopping assignment and then a GIS task. They don't really do the GIS task based, you'll be glad to know now. There's not really that part of the test, but they still keep the formal interviews at the moment. But yeah, I then, as of June 2018, I got hired by Plotbox just before I graduated, and then I graduated in July with a first class honours, and then also got awarded the Age Excel Student of the Year. So I've been working for them for about 2 years, and I'm part of the mapping department. The main office is in Ballymena, but we also have offices in Boston, San Francisco, Austin, Texas, and Sydney, Australia. And so our mapping department is primarily my manager, Brendan, and then a drone pilot, myself as a GIS technician, and then we have 2 placement students, and we have 2 full-time surveyors. And mostly it's them who then get to travel to all these lovely places. So if for those of you who don't know, Plotbox, we survey and we map cemeteries, crematories and mausoleums, which is, yes, very, very weird. It's not something I would have pictured me going into, but basically we survey all over the world. So we have clients in New Zealand, Australia, North America, Canada, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and we've even done maps in Hawaii, and we're looking possibly into the British Virgin Islands as well. So we do get around quite a bit, and the surveyors, we had a few surveyors there spend a few months in the likes of California and Phoenix and a few different places as well. So yeah, it's kind of you do come across a few challenges in terms of using GIS. Obviously, it is a technology-based and a software-based role. You do have to keep up with the latest trends, but you do have the issue of course, as everyone's fully aware of COVID. But I can say that we've been very fortunate in terms of our work. Most of us have been able to work from home. We have had to furlough a number of people because of the inability to travel places. But for the most part, we've been relatively busy, and I've been able to work from home, which was great. But yeah, in terms of like any tips, I would definitely say that if you're planning on applying for any graduate role, do customize your CV. I cannot tell you the amount of times where I've been given a CV and it's very generic. Do customize your CV to make it fit a particular job. Believe me, it's a little bit extra time and a bit of work on it, but it's definitely worth it. The next thing would definitely be practice your interview questions. I've been able to sit in on a couple of interviews, and you do tell the ones who haven't practiced. Now, I'll say that they are typically not from Ulster Uni, thankfully. In fact, the one that I can think of that I've been a part of, 2 of them, they weren't from the university, which is good. The Ulster Uni are very good in terms of providing you with practical experience and getting you prepared for interviews. But another thing is just practice your questions. So like if someone asks you like, what is your greatest weakness? Please don't say you're a perfectionist, because like that's actually a really great trait. That is a really, really great trait. And so do sort of think of other potential answers, because whenever we're sitting there listening to potential graduates, and this is like the 6th or 7th person who said they're a great perfectionist, you know, that they're a perfectionist and that's their weakness, you do remember those answers that stand out. And then the third tip would probably be definitely just make yourself stand out. Do the Age Excel. Do an age activity, even if it's something simple like a personal development course or a bit of volunteering. Your part-time work could be a placement. It could be something as simple as your placement year. Anything like that is all really, really good traits. And in fact, the CEO of my company and my manager both told me that the only reason why I got my job was because of that Age Excel activities that I did, and it put me head and shoulders above everybody else. So what I'd probably say is gain experience in any transferable skills you can, network, attend like conferences, get the skills and everything that you need. And also, it's never too early to start looking for graduate work. I know that the situation is very, very difficult with what's going on at the moment, but do definitely look early. And also when applying for positions, Donna will tell you, I wasn't going to apply for Plotbox initially because one of their essential items was that you needed a driver's license. But at that stage, I was working towards a driver's license. I just told them that. I was told by Donna, apply anyway. And then they asked me in the interview, and sure enough, they gave it to me anyway. So, yeah. That's about all.
Thank you very much indeed, Heather. I think that is that's a fantastic insight into an SME in Northern Ireland. I think you'd all agree, you know, the opportunities to travel in a company, for example, and something that a recent graduate at Ulster University really never envisaged being involved in. So for the students listening, just be mindful of additional opportunities that are available. Okay, that brings me on to our next guest speaker today, Rico. Thank you very much, Rico. And as I mentioned earlier, if you've sort of written in and around about 8 or 10 minutes, that would be great. So whenever you're ready, that's brilliant, Rico. Thank you kindly.
Right, thanks, Donna. So yeah, my background is a little bit different, obviously. I'm actually from California. I just kind of blew over to the shores a few years ago. My undergraduate degree is actually in geography, but it's physical geography, and my master's was in environmental science as well. When I came over, it was because I was doing my PhD down in Galway, and then obviously moved up here to Northern Ireland, where I actually bounced around a few jobs. Environmental science is difficult in the sense that there's quite a lot of people in the environmental science field, but because of my background, I was very much in the tech side of geography, so I was very much into servers, GIS, remote sensing, that kind of thing. And I found fairly quickly that in Northern Ireland, it's not as prevalent in terms of there's not that many people that can do that. So I ended up actually kind of shifting over to GIS more full-time as opposed to as a tool. And I worked for Locks Agency, I worked for Esri as a consultant, and then I ended up in Ordnance Survey. I actually managed the consultancy in Ordnance Survey. So we have a team of close to 30 consultants that we put out to different departments to the public sector. Basically, what we do is we go to the departments, let's say like DFI or DARA, and if they have a problem that they want to resolve and they know that there's spatial data involved, they work with us, so we collaborate with them and we come up with a solution that involves spatial data sets, geographic information, mapping primarily. So it's quite good in the sense that depending on the project, you're using different kinds of skills. So we have people on my team that are archaeologists, we have environmental scientists, we have geologists, geographers, obviously, we've got a lot of those as well. So it does kind of pull together quite a lot of different disciplines, and it depends on what project you're doing and for whom. So, you know, with the COVID response, we were working a lot with councils, we were working with Department for Communities, we were working quite heavily with Department of Health with regards to mapping incidences, emergency planning, emergency response. So it's a very good team to be in. And one of the things that we're kind of looking for in terms of skill sets, we understand that GI is a constantly evolving field, so we don't expect anybody to come here knowing everything. I mean, that's certainly not an expectation on our part. What we do say is that we will train you up, and we do make that commitment. Of all the teams in the Ordnance Survey, my team is the most encouraged, let's say, to do CPD, so professional development. So we send people to conferences, we go to a lot of seminars, workshops. We actually work with quite a lot of different organizations like Queen's, Ulster University, just doing random workshops on anything GI related. We're also a partner for the Association for Geographic Information. So I actually chair the AGI for Northern Ireland. So we partner with the Association for Geographic Information for all the British Isles, and we do a lot of CPD through that. I guess, I'll wait till we get into the breakout sessions, but there is quite a lot of things going on right now in Ordnance Survey. We are actually hiring at the moment. We have 3 vacancies in my team specifically, as well as a couple other teams in Ordnance Survey. But certainly from my point of view, it's the keenness to learn new technologies. It's the keenness to be able to get out of your comfort zone. One of the things we do is we will go to a department and we'll be talking with directors, principals, and they will be looking at us as the experts in the field. So, having that bit of confidence to be able to talk about projects, to talk about the data. Now, obviously, we're not expecting you to do all the talking. I mean, we do have managers that deal with that, but we do involve all the teams to be there. We involve them as much as possible because that's part of the professional development, being able to go to a client and being able to talk through the issues and the problems. Those are the kind of things we want to upskill our own staff with. So, yeah, look, I'll leave it at that. In terms of tips, I actually have quite a lot of tips because we've been kind of going through this process of growth. When I started in 2014, there were 8 consultants in the team, and then when I took over 2 years ago, there was about 16 consultants. Now there's almost 30. So within 2 years, we had just expanded the consultancy. And travel-wise, well, we travel throughout Northern Ireland. I don't know if you think that's exotic enough, but we certainly travel. We get around Northern Ireland. We do also go to the Republic as well as to OSGB because we partner with those other ordnance surveys. So throughout the British Isles, there is travel there. And we're kind of hoping that with the new Geospatial Commission, that this idea of integrated geospatial information for all the British Isles as well as the Republic of Ireland, that will actually increase the growth and the use of GI throughout the country. And that is something certainly that we are very involved in terms of pushing the limits of GI. So I'll leave it at that because I know we are tight for time, but I'm happy to talk a bit more about the nuances of how to get into Ordnance Survey and what we're looking for with our current recruitment. So I'll leave it at that, Donna.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Rico. That was a fantastic insight into the Ordnance Survey ANI in terms of the space, the GIS and the mapping, and the fact that there are opportunities. We'll certainly be looking forward to hearing during the breakout room what those opportunities consist of. Rico, thank you kindly. We're just going to move on then to our final guest speaker, Karen Healy. And Karen, whenever you're ready, please feel free. Karen has a short presentation that she has prepared. So please take it away, Karen.
All right, so I told you about the dog in the background. She starts now. So thanks, Donna, thanks, Gail. So I've been working at Craig and Country Park for the last 14 years. I did my undergraduate in environmental science in Coleraine. Not to feel old, I think it was 2002 when I started. And then in my 3rd year, I did diploma in industrial studies. So I did that as operations manager for the Step Up program in Coleraine. And to be honest, I think that was what really set me on the track to where I am today, because in Step Up program, it wasn't just environmental stuff. It wasn't about ecology or working with the environment or anything. It was more about social sciences and about education. So I graduated in environmental science in 2006, and then I was really lucky the year after to get a job at Craig and Country Park. And talking to my manager after, because of the skills that I had gained from being operations manager at the Step Up program, is because I had a wee bit of an insight into social deprivation. So they were keen to use that knowledge in their organisation, environmental education, the urban areas. So I've been there for 14 years, and during that I decided to undertake a master's part-time distance learning, which was fantastic because I could still work full-time and do the work as well. So the lectures had everything planned out. It was really easy to do. And then after that, then I started getting more into teaching. So I gained a teaching qualification then during my full-time employment. And some of you might know me through the Northern Ireland Back Group. I'm the current chair of that. So I'm still doing CPD with the Northern Ireland Back Group while sort of on a voluntary basis. So that's sort of an insight into my background anyway. So it is my dream job. I've been there 14 years. Every day is completely different. I could be out on the field one day doing surveys. So, for example, 2 weeks ago we were doing a balsam batch. So we were moving Himalayan balsam from around the lakes. We were designing environmental education programs for online. So I know during the lockdown, families were going a wee bit stir crazy, trying to keep the wee ones entertained. So we came up with the Forest Academy Saturday idea. And the whole idea was to send out packs to families, so art materials, bug pots, bug identification stuff, just to keep them all going during lockdown. So that proved out really, really well. We trained volunteers, and then just this week I'm actually writing funding bids and managing a few projects and writing tenders and things as well. So my job is completely different every single day, which is what I love. It keeps it interesting. Outreach, we would work with loads of community groups all over the northwest. We go into elderly care homes and attend council-led partnership meetings, conferences and science fairs and career fairs like this here. As a charity, I would say we do have to complete really random things. So even though I'm environmental officer, I don't always do environmental officer tasks. So during lockdown, we actually haven't stopped. I've been in work this whole time. So I could have been painting the building, cleaning the building, managing our social media, plus doing my usual job as well too in the background. So in a sense of going forward, I think you need to be more diverse and open to doing tasks that your job wouldn't usually ask for, especially in a not-for-profit organisation. So that's sort of a wee bit of what we've been up to recently. So in my spare time, which isn't much, I volunteer for the Northern Ireland Back Group. So I'm the current chair. I've been chair now for the last 6 years. But the whole thing started off in my second year of my degree at Ulster University. I met a volunteer from the Back Group, and when he showed me the bat, it was me hooked. I never even thought it would be into bats or anything when I started my degree. But once I saw the bat and learned all about how they needed help and they had nobody in the northwest, that piqued my interest. So I met the committee then the following year when I was employed at Craig and Country Park then, and became a committee member in 2007. So during my committee member and voluntary days, I would have been doing the bat helpline, rescuing bats and carrying out roost visits and attending events. So going to public events and delivering talks and doing bat walks in parks and things like that. A lot of reading and studying in my spare time. It did become a real obsession. I really can do bats, and I still am. Everything I do is about them. I'm even wearing a bat jumper at the moment. But mad. So through the Back Group, I ended up getting a bat roost visitor license and loads of experience, and I've become a registered bat carer with the Bat Conservation Trust. So that's sort of a secondary thing to being an environmental officer, Craig and Country Park. It's something else that I'm interested in on the side. But when I started my degree, I had no idea that I would even think of going down that path of bats. But here we are, how many years later. So my top tips would be, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do after university. Don't be worrying about it, because the things will appear to you as you go. Volunteer with as many different organisations as you can. because as Heather was saying, diversity and customizing your CV is really, really important, because an example of that, I had a volunteer and she was with us for about 6 years, and in her CV she had put helped with BAT events, and she went for a job for a big organisation in Derry, and she was picked out of the 4 out of 4,000 people for the job, and they more or less said it's because this BAT thing, they remembered her because of the BAT event. So if you have really interest in CV, a diverse CV with loads of different skills, showing that you're open to learning new things, showing that you have initiative, that is a real standout for an employer. So get practical work experience, read as much as you can. If there's say you're interested in ecology, read everything about ecology, the plants, wildflowers, mammals, invertebrates, everything, and you might end up finding something that you're really, really interested in, and that might take you off on another path. Use your career service. So Donna and Gail are fantastic. They have all the information and all the tools that you'll ever need to build your CV and do your interviewing skills. So as Heather said as well, practice your interviewing. That perfection thing too, I've seen that a lot. Having something different, it makes you stand out. So take advantage as well of as many free training courses as you can. I don't know if you know about the Northwest Volunteer Centre, but we would work with them through our volunteer programme. They run free first aid, child protection and disability awareness. These are things that you could probably use in any organisation. So they would do health and safety and all that too. So having these extra skills going into any job, no matter what your background, is really important to have. So again, the main thing, make your CV stand out. That will make you more sort of memorable to the employers, potential employers. So I think that's me for that.